History has a sense of humor, a dark, chaotic, and occasionally stupid sense of humor. What you're about to hear are 20 real moments when humanity completely outdid itself, not with brilliance, but with pure absurdity. Armies humiliated by birds, navies traded for soda, and dead men winning horse races. These aren't myths or jokes, they're all 100% true proof that the story of humanity is less of a triumph and more of an ongoing comedy. 1. In 1989, the Soviet Union was so desperate for Pepsi that they traded a massive naval fleet for soda syrup because the ruble was worthless. In a move that only makes sense at the end of a superpower, Pepsi received a cruiser, a frigate, a destroyer, and 17 submarines. This briefly made Pepsi the 6th largest military power on Earth. The CEO even joked to the US government that he was dismantling the Soviets faster than the military was. They eventually sold the fleet for scrap, turning a sugary craving into the most insane maritime barter in human history. 2. In 1932, Australia faced a bizarre invasion of 20,000 emus, destroying crops. The government's solution? Declaring war. They deployed the Royal Australian Artillery armed with machine guns to handle the problem. However, the emus utilized accidental guerrilla tactics, splitting into small, fast-moving groups that outmaneuvered the soldiers. The military looked ridiculous, firing thousands of rounds only to have the birds zigzag away safely. After a week of total humiliation and tactical failure, the army officially retreated. History's verdict remains clear. The emus won the war. 3. In 1923, jockey Frank Hayes was a professional loser who had never won a single race. That changed during a long-shot ride on a horse named Sweet Kiss. Halfway through, Hayes suffered a massive fatal heart attack and died instantly. Miraculously, his body remained perfectly perched in the saddle. Clueless, the horse barreled across the finish line in first place. Hayes became the first person to win a race while dead. The horse was later nicknamed the Sweet Kiss of Death and never competed again. 4. In 1962, a laughter epidemic struck Tanzania, starting with 3 schoolgirls who simply couldn't stop. This wasn't joy, it was a painful, uncontrollable physical spasm. The phenomenon ripped through their school, infecting 95 students and forcing a shutdown. The plague then spread to local villages, affecting over 1,000 people for 18 agonizing months. Victims suffered from exhaustion and fainting, trapped in a relentless, involuntary laugh track. It remains one of history's most bizarre cases of mass psychogenic illness, a literal nightmare where the punchline never ends. 5. In 1925, Victor Lustig achieved the ultimate con. He sold the Eiffel Tower. Posing as a government official, he convinced Paris's top scrap dealers that the landmark was being demolished for metal. He was so persuasive that one dealer paid a massive bribe just to secure the contract. Lustig took the cash and vanished. In a legendary display of audacity, he returned to Paris a month later and successfully pulled the exact same scam on a new group of victims. He remains history's heavyweight champion of sheer nerve. 6. During World War II, the Polish army had a secret weapon that could drink beer, smoke cigarettes, and carry 100 pounds of explosives, a bear named Wojtek. Adopted as a cub by the troops, he became one of the guys. To get him on a British transport ship, they didn't hide him, they officially enlisted him. He became Private Wojtek with a rank, paybook, and serial number. This bear was a combat veteran. During the brutal Battle of Monte Cassino, he voluntarily carried heavy crates of artillery shells, literally helping his buddies fight the war. 7. In 1696, England introduced a window tax, charging homeowners for natural light. To avoid payment, citizens bricked up their windows, turning homes into dark, airless petri dishes for cholera and typhus. For 150 years, the government literally taxed sunshine, making the nation sick just to collect extra coins. 8. The 1904 Olympic marathon was a total disaster. The first finisher was disqualified for hitching a car ride. The actual winner, Thomas Hicks, crossed the line while hallucinating on a performance cocktail of brandy and rat poison. Another runner was chased off course by wild dogs. Pure athletic chaos. 9. In colonial India, British officials tried to solve a cobra infestation by offering a cash bounty for every dead snake. Initially, it seemed like a success, until they realized locals had started breeding cobras in their backyards to maximize profits. When the government discovered this cobra-based pyramid scheme and canceled the rewards, the farmers simply released their now worthless snakes. The city was suddenly flooded with thousands of angry captive-bred cobras, leaving the population in a much worse position than before. It was a spectacular lesson in unintended consequences. 10. In 1939, a Harvard student swallowed a live goldfish on a bet, sparking a national college craze. Students competed for record-breaking counts, treating pets like tequila shots. One MIT student even engineered a mechanical throat to swallow fish more efficiently. It was the ultimate pre-internet proof of human stupidity. 11. It's 1989. The U.S. military has cornered Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega in the Vatican embassy. A delicate situation. Do they start a diplomatic incident? Do they storm the building? No, they deploy the ultimate weapon of psychological warfare, a dad's rock playlist. For 10 straight days, they blasted the embassy with gigantic speakers, playing a non-stop loop of Guns N' Roses and Van Halen at volumes that could peel paint. Noriega, a devoted opera lover, couldn't take any more Welcome to the Jungle and finally gave up. 12. Kentucky, 1876. A woman is outside making soap when, without warning, it starts raining meat, fresh meat, chunks of it falling from a clear blue sky. This wasn't a freak weather event, this was a meat shower. 2 guys, in an act of legendary scientific bravery, actually tasted it and said it was either lamb or deer. The leading theory today is that a huge flock of vultures had a big lunch, flew over the farm, and then they all got food poisoning at the exact same time. It was a synchronized mid-air projectile vomit storm. 13. In 1788, the Austrian army accidentally fought itself. After getting drunk on schnapps, a confused skirmish led soldiers to scream that the Turks were attacking. In the darkness, regiments fired cannons at each other. When the actual Ottomans arrived 2 days later, they found 10,000 casualties and an empty victory. 14. The first Battle of Bull Run was meant to be the Super Bowl of the Civil War. It was considered such a slam dunk for the Union that the high society of Washington, D.C. packed their carriages with champagne and picnic baskets and trotted out to watch. They sat on a hill ready to sip wine and watch the fireworks. But then the battle turned into a bloody, chaotic disaster. The road back to D.C. became completely clogged with panicked picnickers trying to save their cucumber sandwiches. It was an instant traffic jam from hell. 15. When Tsar Peter the Great decided to modernize Russia, he started with facial hair. He looked at the long, magnificent beards of his noblemen and saw the past, and he hated it. So he introduced the beard tax. Want to keep that glorious face mane? Pay up. He even issued little metal beard tokens as a receipt. If you were caught with an untaxed beard, the guards would hold you down and shave you right there on the spot. It was a state-sponsored war on looking like a wizard. 16. In the 1690s, Scotland risked its entire economy on the Darien Scheme, a failed attempt to colonize a Panamanian swamp. Disease and disaster bankrupted the nation, forcing Scotland to merge with England. The resulting 1707 Act of Union created Great Britain, all because of a disastrously expensive colonial midlife crisis. 17. In 1910, fears that Halley's Comet would poison Earth sparked global hysteria. Con artists profited by selling useless anti-comet pills and umbrellas to panicked citizens. Despite scientists' warnings of a cosmic fart,
people bought sugar pills by the truckload, proving that fear is often more lucrative than facts. 18. In the 1800s, the crinoline's bell-shaped silhouette was the height of fashion, but its rigid, wide frame was a death trap. Thousands of women perished when their massive skirts brushed fireplaces, igniting instantly. Despite these gruesome fatalities, the trend persisted, proving that Victorian style often prioritized lethal elegance over personal safety. 19. In 1325, Modena soldiers stole a wooden bucket from Bologna, sparking a lethal conflict. Rather than ignoring the petty theft, Bologna declared war. Thousands died in battle over the medieval equivalent of a stolen traffic cone, proving that history's bloodiest feuds often began with the most trivial of insults. 20. In 193 AD, the Praetorian Guard decided to auction off the entire Roman Empire. Two wealthy men stood outside the camp, shouting bids like they were at a cattle market. Didius Julianus won the throne, but was executed just 2 months later when a general decided the auction was ridiculous. Humanity didn't survive thanks to intelligence, just blind, baffling, stupid luck. So here is my challenge to you. Drop one historical event in the comments that proves me wrong. Go on, I'll wait. Meanwhile, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more undeniable evidence that the past was nothing short of a full-blown circus.